This is for the free thinkers, the curious beings that swim upstream, who see possibilities, not problems, that learn from the past, live by the present, and create the future. This is the I Love Ugly audio show.
Welcome to the I Love Ugly audio show. My name's Valentin, Ozich, creative director and founder and your host of the I Love Ugly audio show. Now, it's been a little while since we put out any articles or podcasts, and there's a reason for it. We just didn't feel like it, to be honest. I know it's a shit reason, but it's the truth. Now, unfortunately, using our feelings as the ultimate measure for whether or not we should do something isn't a wise move. If we obeyed every feeling we've ever had, we'd be in a pretty terrible state. And now, feelings are useful as warning signs and indicators that help guide us through life, but the key is to listen and observe them, but not necessarily obey every time they speak. So this podcast is me talking about the subject matter. It explores the ups and downs of feelings and why you can't always rely on them. It's about a 12 to 15 minute episode, depending how fast I talk. And I think there's some real gems in here. Enjoy the episode. I'm speaking from the bottom of my heart from the rough start I had to the year, despite the real amazing momentum the company had and which I had last year. So enjoy the episode. Why relying on your feelings will disappoint you. 2020, damn. I bet you can vividly remember the start of 2018, 2019, and with a blink of an eye, we're already at the end of the second month of 2020. Did you achieve what you set out to? Did you have any regrets? Did you hit your goals? I'm guessing, like me, you wish you had different answers to those questions. With some better understanding and awareness, I'm adamant that you can. Those that follow the brand would have noticed that we haven't put out a podcast or an article in a while, which you may be wondering about. Why haven't we, you may be asking? It's because I didn't feel like it. Now, this answer to this question may surprise you, but it's the truth, and it's what prompted me to speak about this topic. Firstly, I apologize for not following through with what we set out to achieve, which is releasing a podcast episode every week and an article per month. Now, don't get me wrong, we still have been working extremely hard in the background on other projects within the business, but since these articles and these podcast episodes don't make any tangible or measurable financial return, despite the significant impact on people's lives, it's the easiest thing to put to the side when we don't feel like it or when we get busy. Now, it's made me realize that if you solely rely on your feelings to be the primary motivator to get things done, you're continually going to be disappointed, frustrated, and you're only going to achieve about 25% of what you could achieve. Now, to be honest, the stuff I preach about is far, far easier to write about and talk about than it is to do. And I've found that it's easier to motivate, direct, and advise people that have come to me with their own issues than it is to deal with my own. Now, you'll probably notice a similar thing. For example, when you're going through your own personal issues, whether it be your business or relationship, all of a sudden, people with no business experience become experts on business, and people with either a failed or no relationship are all of a sudden relationship gurus. You'll also notice when other people are going through specific issues, the answers to their problems become so clear to you that it frustrates the crap out of you when they don't act on your advice. Now, why is this, you may be asking or thinking? It's because it's easier to teach than it is to do, and hard to practice what you preach. But the critical question is, why don't we act on our own advice or other people's advice, even if we know it's the right thing to do? It's because once the motivation wears off, we don't feel like doing the work anymore. It's because we let our feelings dictate our actions. Now, it's easier to stay put than it is to stretch. It's easier to put our heads in the sand, make no mistakes, take no risks, than it is to explore, experience, and achieve. It takes no courage to stay put. It takes no courage to hear good advice and continue doing what you're doing despite the pain that it is causing you. The problem is feelings. Fucking feelings. Feelings are there to guide us and serve us, but they can also do the exact opposite if you allow feelings to control you. If you change your perspective, you can change your life. Now, you should begin telling yourself this repeatedly to the point that you become convicted of its truth. I know I'm not always going to feel like taking action, but I refuse to rely on how I feel. I'm going to do whatever's necessary to make the changes I need in my life. I know that it takes no courage to sit still and I am a courageous person. Therefore, I'm going to lean into this wholeheartedly, despite the unknown and despite the fear of failure, because I know that it's going to propel me forward and get me a whole lot closer to where I need to be. Just repeat that over and over again, and if need be, just reverse this podcast episode a little bit to get this on repeat, because once it's in you, it's going to become ingrained in you, and you're going to start to act and behave differently. Anyway, life, it's opportunity mixed with difficulty. And I believe successful people are the ones that are tested with more adversity and significant life-changing events than non-successful people, because they don't live in their comfort zone with their heads in the sand. They have convinced themselves of the above, whether consciously or unconsciously. People that learn to think for themselves act boldly and don't let the feelings of not wanting to do something get in the way, are the ones that separate themselves from the herd and are the ones that increase their chances of success. It sounds hard, and it is. We are designed in a way that in order to grow, we need to be stretched and be uncomfortable. The rewards of life come after effort and discomfort. The great body, should I say, comes with discipline and sacrifice. The great marriage comes with commitment and patience. The successful business is a result of constant improvement and the ability to adapt. Not every day is going to be sunshines and rainbows, and not every day is going to be enjoyable and magical. It's not the pain that kills you and your dreams, it's the guilt of not taking action. Don't approach your life casually, because casualness leads to casualties. One of the best contributions you can make to yourself and to other people is your own personal development and a better understanding of your mind and how it works. Learn about how it works and why it thinks how it does, and why results usually come from the opposite of what you think is the right thing to do. Because changing your life isn't a matter of ability or positive feelings. It's a matter of desire and taking action, big action. You have to put the emotions aside and know that bad feelings aren't actually serving you or doing you any good. So before you dream about the view from the top, you always got to ask yourself if you're willing to keep focused on the path ahead and spend your life walking in the trenches, because that's what it actually takes. And that's the stuff that people actually don't talk about. Your friends may get to the top in half the amount of time as you do. It happens to me too. Don't compare, don't rush, don't be discouraged. Because it takes years and walking in the trenches to earn your position at the top. They may have been doing that without you even knowing. But your time will come, but you never know exactly when. So if you want to soar for eagles, you need to overcome your fear of heights. You've got to realize that if you experience success or achieve big goals too early, it's actually not a blessing, it's a curse. And this is exactly what happened to me in 2016. I started a company from scratch in my bedroom, and it grew quickly, abnormally quick, and success came prematurely. I had no time to catch up with what was going on because I wanted success so bad that I had no time to develop the wisdom and appreciation for what was going on around me. I nearly lost my life as a result of this, my marriage, my sanity, and my business. Now, anything premature usually isn't right, generally not healthy, and often results in failure. Think of a premature baby, a premature marriage, a premature driver's license, a premature athlete, a premature kid making a bunch of money with no life or money experience. You see the pattern here, right? Failure and depression come out of giving into the bad feelings you're experiencing and not taking action. Depression comes out of allowing the circumstances to define who you are as a person. And it takes no courage to let the bad feelings rule you or to allow your depression to define who you are. It takes courage to take action. Now, don't be so hard on yourself. Get on top of yourself. People want the success they haven't been groomed for. They don't realize that success in anything requires time, heartache, pain, patience, skills, and a ton of lessons learned along the way. It's not easy, it ain't quick, it's not fun, and it's not for everyone. Honestly, and I 100% back what I'm saying here, it's not for everyone. The reward for overcoming your current challenges is your next challenge. People think rewards are wrapped up in a fancy little gift box like it's your birthday or Valentine's Day. People are chasing the feeling they get from a reward, and when it doesn't turn out how they expected, they crawl into a little hole. Now, if you think about it, the way rewards are given to us are quite the opposite. Sometimes they're given to us in the form of a new challenge, which is often hard to distinguish. Sometimes they are given to us with a complete failure of an idea, only to discover a new and better idea of doing something else. Sometimes they are given to us by hitting rock bottom, only to find out the only way out is up. Feelings dictate so much of these experiences and lessons, and if we allow the feelings to confuse us into thinking we are not progressing, we stop improving and we stop trying. You can't expect to get something for nothing. You need to earn it, and you need to do the time. New challenges are further steps towards growth and progression. It's not what you get that's the reward, it's a person you become to get what you want that's the reward. When you become equipped with these skills and experiences, your external world becomes less relevant, and being reliant on the feeling of wanting to do something soon fades away. So be effective, be authoritative, be assertive, be a master of overcoming fear and bad feelings. Don't be so driven by success that you see obscurity, isolation, confusion, and failure as punishment. It's what happened to me in 2017 when I nearly lost it all after a year of insane expansion. And as hard and as painful as it was, and it was very, very painful, it was a necessary thing to happen to me to progress to the next level and become the man which I am today. My reward was wrapped up in difficulty and turmoil, despite what I thought about the situation at the time. But, I refused to allow how I was feeling to stop me from achieving my mission. Now ask or think about any great athlete, businessman, artist, teacher, mother, father, brother, whoever, and they'll tell you that they pushed on through despite wanting to quit or give up many, many times, and sometimes even on a daily basis. So do your thing. Do it when you're scared. Do it when you're broke. Do it when you're upset. Do it when you're unsure and when you're in pain. That's precisely when you should be doing it, and that's when you experience all the growth. You don't want to end up at the end of your life wondering what would have happened if you only had more courage and if only you wish you had more positive feelings to get you through. You'll never get more time or another chance. You don't want to look back when you're 80 years old and think, if I only. Don't let your fear or feelings incarcerate you. If you do, they will slowly imprison you. The hardest part of hard work is not the part you can see. It is not always a physical effort. It's the mornings when you get the fuck up when you feel like sleeping in. It's the weeks when you put out the podcast episode even though you don't feel inspired. It's the days when you feel like being mad but you choose to be happy. It's the times when you call your grandma even though the conversations are tedious and suck and require a lot of effort. It will make her day, however. If you only rely on how you feel, you're always going to be disappointed. What I'm trying to do here is plant a seed in your mind. This seed may not sprout for 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 years, 20 years, 40 years, but if you allow it, it will. You can't let the demands of 2019 debilitate you, so you can't be preparing for 2020, 2021, 22, 23 and beyond. This is called life. Life is demanding and it beats you down unexpectedly. You need to pick yourself back up and fight back despite how you feel. The hard times fertilize you, they marinate you, they wisen you. You can't just try one thing and expect it to be perfect or expect it to work out, and if it doesn't, just quit. That's not very wise, is it? And it sounds pretty dumb to me. Now think about this. What you're experiencing today is from the decisions you made last year, last month, 10 years ago. If that's the case, start doing as much as you can to change your situation this year by planting the seeds, putting in the effort and thinking forwards, not backwards. You will reap in a month, a year, a decade, 2 decades from what you planted today. Really think about this part. Now, knowing and understanding this will give you a continual cycle of success despite the ideas that fall off or don't come to life. This mindset will help the way you deal with your disappointments. The way you deal with your disappointments, by the way, is the way you deal with your destiny. So flip the script and begin to think about it in a new way. Be a contrarian and begin to think differently to how you have in the past. Because if you're not where you want to be today, your way of thinking and doing things is obviously not serving you very well. What if the thing that's causing you the most pain may be the thing that's going to give you the most pleasure? The most powerful form of hard work is carving out the time to think. It's spending time doing all the hard work in your mind. It's knowing you aren't going to feel like it all the time. It's the visualization, the clarity, the action. Sometimes achieving your goals may not look very progressive, but make no mistake, it is very hard work and requires a lot of overcoming of fear and mastering of emotions, and this work is what people don't see. Don't always rely on what people can see to be the benchmark of how well you are progressing and doing in life. Strategy and consistency often beat sweat. I know this is hard to apply, and that's why being around people that can uplift you, encourage you, and give your words of wisdom is paramount. Now, most of the time, I don't feel like doing the work because it's hard, it's unfamiliar, it's uncomfortable, it always takes longer than expected, it's not always guaranteed, and it's a constant battle with the mind. But I do it anyway, and I do feel fantastic afterwards. Now, I'm releasing this episode because this is precisely what I've experienced at the start of this year, despite the incredible momentum built last year. I'm recording this podcast for you, to take these concepts, to mold them, bend them, and for them to become your own. Now, don't get me wrong, the feelings of resistance aren't ever going to disappear. They are there to guide us, but they're also there to screw our lives up if we allow it. With an understanding and an ability to overpower your feelings, you'll be able to put the emotions aside so you can achieve what you set out to achieve. Changing your life isn't a matter of ability, it's a matter of desire. So just a few key notes to remember before I wrap it up. The stuff that matters is hard to measure. People want the success and rewards that they're not ready for. With every blessing, there's always going to be a battle, and it doesn't matter where you start, it's all about where you finish. Now, a few questions, if you can, if you're driving, just pull out, get out the pen, take some notes. Here's a few questions to think about and answer. Number 1, whatever you are not changing, you are choosing. What do you really wish you had the courage to do? Number 2, what's something you know you should begin this week despite how you feel? Number 3, what would a year look like of putting the feelings of not wanting to do it aside? And finally, number 4, who else is something you can teach these concepts to? Good luck. Thank you everybody for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and found any type of value, please subscribe to our podcast, share with your friends, and give us a 5-star review on iTunes to be in the draw to win a $200 I Love Ugly gift voucher. We will be drawing a winner monthly. Good luck and see you on the next episode.